So we have here our program where we create a variable called num, place a 5 in it, and now we're printing the content of the variable num. Okay. So one thing I want to make clear here is that our program is running sequentially. Okay, let me go ahead and put that here as a note. To write notes in your program, you can use the hashtag. That means that this here is a comment. Okay, so I'm going to put here, this is a comment. And if I go ahead and run the program, you notice here in the console, it does not print this is a comment. Every line of code that begins with a hashtag is ignored by the program. Okay, it's not executed. So what is executed is line 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and then 6. Once it finishes with line 6, it ends the program because there's no more lines to execute. So notice I say that line 2 is executed. Right? It is executed, but there's nothing there. Okay. So then it gets to line 3, and now here's something to do. Okay, it creates a variable called num, and it puts a 5 in it. And then we get to line 4, it does it, but there's nothing there. And then we get to line 5, which prints the num variable out to the console. And then we get to line 6, there's nothing there, and our program ends. Okay. Now, the value that we're putting inside of this num variable is a special value. So I want to put here, whole numbers are called ints. Okay. And yeah, in computer science, whole numbers like 5 or 54 or 400 and 547 are called ints. And ints stands for integers. And what are integers? Well, if you go back into algebra or you go back into any math textbook, an integer is a whole number. Okay? So our 5 here is what we call a whole number. Okay, well, great. Let's go ahead now and do some math with this integer. Okay? So maybe I can make a new variable, and I can call it answer. And I'm going to set it equal to not a number anymore. I'm going to set it equal to a expression. Okay, and what is an expression? Well, I can do something like this, like 4 times 6. Okay, the star in computer science is a multiply. And we have the ability to use minus, plus, divide, or multiply. Okay, so what is this going to do? When the program runs, it's going to see the comment. It's going to go to line 2, then 3, then 4, create the num variable, set it equal to 5. Then it's going to come here to line 5. And remember, it executes the right side of the equal sign first. So it executes the right side of the equal sign, it finds an expression, and it figures out the answer. And so the computer does 4 times 6. It gets the answer, 24. And it places 24 into the variable called answer. Okay, and so let's go ahead and prove that this works. And so instead of printing num, I'm going to print answer, and I'm going to hit play. So you see there, it prints out 24. Okay. So another thing that we can do is that with these expressions, you can make them as long as you want. You could do like minus 45 divided by 4. Right? You can make these expressions as complicated as you'd like. And if I go ahead and run this, you could see that my answer is 13. Okay. Another thing that you can do with these expressions that you're going to stick into a variable is you can use a variable on the right side of the equal sign. So instead of saying multiply 4 multiplied by 6, I could say 4 multiplied by num. So what is that going to do? Well, it's going to come down to line 5. It's going to do the right side of the equal sign first. It's going to do 4 times, and it's going to replace this num with the value that's inside of the variable num. So it's going to replace it with 5. Then it's going to do the math. 4 times 5 is 20, and it's going to store the 20 inside this answer variable. So let's go ahead and test this out. And it does. It prints out 20. Okay, so 20 is being stored inside of answer. So why don't you go ahead and write a similar program, and let's go ahead and create 2 variables. In the second variable, let's create an expression that involves the first variable. Okay, and let's print out the answer and see that it actually does work.